Hello and welcome to another episode of Off the Shelf. And today I'm recommending semi-obscure memoirs in weirdly niche specific yearnings. So the first book we have is The Reason I Jump, which is composed by a child writer, Naokoi Higashida, with an introduction by David Mitchell and was translated by Kei Yoshida and David Mitchell. So why should you read this specific memoir? More specifically, since it is Autism Awareness Month, this book is very on theme, and it's about a young boy who is severely autistic and disabled. He can only communicate through a cardboard keyboard, and what he says is exceptionally and insightful, and he uses poetic language to describe, and he shares his thoughts on the perception of time, life, beauty, and nature in ways that are truly unforgettable. And he talks about why people should have patience and compassion for others. So there's that book, and it's super well written and really enjoyable thoughts on the mind of a 13-year boy's observation about the world. Next, of course, is H for Hawk. And why should you read this memoir? This memoir you should read when you're struggling with grief and want to know how to relate to the people around you and animals. It's about a woman called Helen MacDonald who was determined to be a falconer. And years later, when her father dies, she became obsessed with the idea of training a goshawk, a fascinating creature that has a long and varied history in the British Isles and around the world. And so she bought Mabel the hawk and took her to Cambridge, and she decided to look at and doing so, and through training this hawk she was able to confront with her own grief. Then, of course, there's this one, If Wishes Were Horses, which is quite honestly one of my favourite novels. It's essentially about a woman called Susanna Forrest, who, when she was a young girl, yearned for a pony. However, she didn't get to own a pony because they're really expensive, and she thought she had put it all behind when one day she sees some horse-related memorabilia, and that obsession in her gets reawakened, and she confronts her own past with horses, and she rediscovers her love for riding, which is intertwined with lots of historic valuable facts of the relationship between women and horses. First, this is probably, if you want to learn why people love horses, an excellent starting point. And finally, there's this one, Our Working Lives. So this strictly isn't a memoir. What it is about, however, is the lives of the working class people who do occupation from firefighting to working in Woolies. The diversity of Britain is confronted here, and it experiences from the post-war period to the modern day, and explains why being workhorse can be a thing of pride and serious value. So, over and out, and I'll see you next week.